Hey folks, welcome from Artline, where we'll show you a brief view of the steps we take to install your loved one's memorial. The very first thing we do is check the levels of the concrete on site to make sure your headstone will sit evenly. We strive to ensure every memorial is installed on a level foundation to prevent future problems. Then we measure the base correctly. Using the measurements of your headstone's base, we mark accurately where the memorial will sit on the existing concrete. We then place a soft packing, here we're using sacking, on the edge of the concrete, close to the measured line. We do this to prevent scratching by protecting the base's polished surface from the concrete. Next we place two 4x2 wooden runners on the concrete. Then, using care, lift and lower your base onto the wooden runners. This allows us to position your base easily without risking our fingers or risking the stone dragging on the concrete. We then turn the base over onto the padding at the rear of the area we marked. Once the base is safely in position, we lightly wet the concrete and the headstone base before applying SEM-key concrete glue within the penciled lines. This is done to ensure the best adhesion for the stone to the concrete. Now we're ready to mix cement and get to the messy part. We mix up the cement until it's a Play-Doh-like consistency to ensure it will seal nicely underneath the base. We spread the cement along the lines and daub patches across the glued area. We take care to leave a clear space where any vase holes are to let the water drain. Before we handle any stone, we always wash and dry our hands of any cement. One of us will lower the base onto the cemented area, wiggle it into place, and once again, check the levels. Sometimes we might need to level the base with gentle tapping with a wooden handle end of a dumpy hammer or a sledge. This doesn't hurt the stone, but allows us to move it as required before the cement sets. Sometimes we'll add 4 wedges temporarily to the corners of the base to prevent movement, and so the base will remain level while we mount the stone onto the back of the base. We then cut dowels to fit the stone, checking carefully to ensure each dowel has at least 5 to 10 millimeters of clearance up the stone. If the dowels didn't have this clearance, the stone wouldn't sit nicely and would remain loose. We fill the 2 base dowel holes with cement before placing the stainless steel dowels in them. Then fill the dowel holes of the headstone with cement carefully to ensure no air bubbles are up the holes. After this, we're ready to position the headstone on the base. We place the clean wooden runners over the base to allow for correct positioning and for protection of the base from chipping or scratching. After we make sure our hands are clean and dry, we carefully lift the stone into position and check that the dowel holes line up. We spread cement at either end where the stone will make contact with the base. Occasionally we'll use wedges which will help us rock the stone gently into place. This can allow us to lower very heavy stones in a safe and controlled manner. To do this, we rock the stone onto the wedges, remove the wooden runners, daub cement where the runners used to sit, and carefully lower the stone while drawing the wedges out. Once the wedges have been removed, we work quickly to position the stone as it will float on the cement for a few seconds. We once again check the level of the stone like this and check the stone is centered on the base. Depending on how well we've placed it, we may need to tap it softly into place. We brace the base while we gently tap it into position. Then we do a final check to make sure all measurements are correct. Then it's time to clean up. We wipe up excess cement with a sponge or brush, or if need be, fill any gaps with more cement. We check the vase holes and clean any excess cement out before making sure we leave a hole for the water to drain, just like here. We use a wet sponge to remove the worst of the excess cement before drying the stone and base with a towel to remove any cement stain. Once we place your vases in the headstone, it will be clean, tidy, and ready for your unveiling.